by September of 1993 was when I bought my very own PC, leaving my Amiga behind. Well, I never really left my beloved Amiga, only needed to focus my attention towards my brand new IBM PS1 because of my academic choices at high school. Launched by mid-1992, the Intel 486 DX266 was a massive advance from its predecessor. Gaming on a PC had never looked or been so good. The DX266 was the ultimate in gaming processors. It was fast, had an extra 8 KB of on-chip cache, and was priced just right for the new DOS gamer like myself to enjoy the benefits of an amazing gaming setup where the likes of Doom 2 and X-Wing ran beautifully. This was the top of the range in terms of gaming and a super fast processor compared to what came before, and telling your friends at school that you had a DX266 and inviting them over to play Doom 2 the way it should be played really helped to have a ton of envy eyes looking over my shoulders. My IBM PS1 Model 2168 that I managed to buy by September of 1993 has a silhouette that for me is a symbol of the best years of MS-DOS gaming. So for now, let's just recall some of my biggest addictions back from the glory days of DOS gaming that I still play nowadays on my beloved IBM PS1 486 DX266, and that always remained on the hard drive since then. You've already noticed that I'm the biggest Indiana Jones fan out there, and The Fate of Atlantis should be turned into a movie and remastered for current-gen systems like Day of the Tentacle was. Screenwriter Al Barwood, that would return later to also write the story for Infernal Machine, wrote an amazing plot centered around the lost continent of Atlantis. I've forever been intrigued with Plato's amazing Atlantis dialogue, so The Last Crusade was begging for a sequel, and it eventually arrived, firstly in 1992 and a year later in an enhanced CD-ROM version which included amazing voice acting and digitized sound effects. This was the one that I've played back then and played again and again and again.
First mentioned by Plato. Now
it offered an overwhelming and original story that can rival with the ones from the 3 first movies. The fourth one is quite forgettable, so Nazis, a sort of mythological flavor, and a beautiful and somewhat annoying female character were the perfect ingredients for an Indiana Jones adventure. Sophia Hapgood would return later for Indy's first 3D action adventure, The Infernal Machine, released in 1999, and that I've also reviewed in the past. Needless to say that later I would also grab the GOG and Steam versions to play again and again and again. Damn, I completely lost the count of how many times I've played and finished The Fate of Atlantis. It still has the power to hold my attention hostage, like if there was no tomorrow. And let's not forget that this game was included as an unlockable extra of the Wii version of Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings.
Stay away from the door. Ah!
Pinball Dreams was the first pinball video game that I've played on my brand new IBM PC, in a time when sound cards were so freaking expensive. It was developed by Digital Illusions and released in 1992 by 21st Century Entertainment. It was designed by Olof Gustafsson, who also composed the amazing soundtrack that would return 3 years later in 1995 with its sequel, Pinball Dreams 2. You're seeing here the deluxe edition that is available on GOG.com within the Pinball Gold Pack that gives you the chance of playing all 8 tables from both Pinball Dreams titles and also a bunch other amazing classic pinball video games from Digital Illusions. 1993 was the year when my life as a gamer changed. Due to my academic choices, I had to embrace the PC. That was when I came across Syndicate, this futuristic cyberpunk real-time tactical game from Bullfrog, in where we have to perform missions that range from rescuing captured allies, persuading scientists and civilians to join our cause, kill leaders of rival syndicates, etc. And while the game progresses, we must try and stay ahead of the latest breakthroughs in what weaponry and cyborg announcements are concerned. Syndicate annoyed a lot of people back then. It can be completely disrespectful to the morality of our society, but that's just what attracted players in the first place. It was available for a lot of systems, but the PC version is, with no doubt, the one that everyone should play.
Please, put that...
2 years before becoming Digital Extremes, James Schmalz developed Epic Pinball that was published under the Epic Mega Games label and exclusive to DOS machines. I believe that every PC gamer back in 1993 played this one cause it was distributed as shareware with only the famous Android table available to play. And I've played the crap out of it! The complete game was composed of 3 different packs, and each pack contained 4 tables. So in total, we had the astonishing number of 12 completely different tables, being Enigma the weirdest one. Again, the soundtrack is absolutely amazing, just listen to it. In 1995, one of my favorite first-person shooters was born, Star Wars Dark Forces. But also in that same year, we saw the release of my favorite title in an isometric style of gameplay, Crusader No Remorse. Set in the 22nd century, we control this red elite soldier that rebelled against the mighty and powerful world government after disobeying a superior order of killing innocent civilians wrongfully mistaken by rebels. After being ambushed, he managed to escape, ending up joining the rebel cause. To gain trust among the rebels that still sees him as the enemy, he must undertake several dangerous missions to prove that he's on their side. That's where the player comes in. The main goal is to gain access to the plans of a space station used by the enemy to threaten cities to surrender to them. This space station, known as Vigilance Platform, is a sort of Death Star that can completely annihilate from space a city that is still under control by the rebels. With absolutely gorgeous graphics and music, Crusader No Remorse was a huge inspiration for the Fallout development team, and it's still an amazing adventure that everyone should experience. I'm still hoping to see a remake of this gem. I always recall this 6th title of the King's Quest franchise with huge nostalgia. 5 friends and I saved money for months to buy the original boxed DOS version and managed to do it a year after the game's release.
Prince Alexander of Dap.
So in late 1993, and after playing a pirated copy of the previous title, the 3D graphic intro movie, the professional voice acting and multiple routes through the story overwhelmed us. It just blew us away. Obviously that we needed to make copies of the original floppy disks so that each of us would play it and share experiences, helping each other advancing through the story.
Insist, Your Highness.
Every day at school we would gather around and talk about each other's progression, and this was how we shared walkthroughs in early 90s. We would even draw sketches for the puzzles and take photocopies so that when we got home, could advance a bit more. It was the first point-and-click graphic adventure that I've played on my brand new IBM PS1, with sound coming only from the PC speaker. Sound cards and a pair of speakers were so expensive back in those days, a luxury, so King's Quest VI was played entirely using the internal speaker of my IBM that gladly had this pretty handy volume knob so that I could play the game all night long. King's Quest VI brought huge improvements to the series and could finally rival LucasArts' graphic adventures with its awe-inspiring visual beauty. An amazing experience that brings so many awesome memories.
Maiden, lovely and pure.
Raptor Call of the Shadows was originally developed for MS-DOS by Cygnus Studios and published by the mighty Apogee Software back in April of 1994. It was in fact placed in store shelves on April 1st of 1994. When Apogee announced to the public that Raptor would be available on that day, everyone thought that it was an April Fool's joke, but it wasn't. And the game was supposed to be called Mercenary 2029 and not Raptor Call of the Shadows. My first experience with it was provided by a shareware version available for DOS, which included the first episode, Bravo Sector, and its music, composed by Matt Murphy, still pounds in my mind since then. Raptor Call of the Shadows is divided into 3 sectors: Bravo Sector, Tango Sector and Our Regions, each one composed of a total of 9 levels. As for its plot, it's as basic as being sent on interplanetary missions to destroy everything that crosses our path, in this case, the Megacorps thugs. Being a shoot-'em-up, everything that appears on screen must be destroyed, from other flying objects to ground targets like turrets, buildings and vehicles. Obviously that a shoot-'em-up without end-level bosses wouldn't be a shoot-'em-up, so there's plenty of those, even halfway through a certain number of later levels. Credits and bonuses are earned by destroying stuff, and the more difficult the enemies are, the more credits and bonuses we'll get. The player has only 1 life, but there's an energy meter that makes Raptor stand out from most shoot-'em-ups available until then. Also, a save option is available between levels that is really welcomed in this type of games. Our ship can withstand quite a huge amount of damage, always having the chance to upgrade it with shields and more powerful weapons that can be bought or collected using the credit and purchase system implemented. When facing the various types of enemies, we can dynamically switch between the weapons installed to face with the situation in hand, cause some weapons can only hit airborne targets and other only ground targets. Even so, there's a few that can hit both, so these last ones are pretty practical. The more original weapons present must be the auto-tracking turrets, and besides the Mega Bomb that will destroy everything on screen, including enemy bullets and projectiles, there's this weapon that fires continuous instant beams capable of penetrating and destroying multiple targets in one shot. Also, we can purchase a certain item called the Ion Scanner that, when confronting a level boss, can measure its own energy and damage meter. Also available for the Sega Mega Drive, Psycho Pinball grabbed me right away, but again, on my IBM PC. Don't get me wrong, the Mega Drive version is also extremely good, but the good old DOS version is even better. For PC, it was released only in '95, a year after the exclusive European Mega Drive original. Developed and published by Codemasters, Psycho Pinball features the traditional number of 4 tables. However, I must highlight the one that gives the name to this awesome game, cause it offered a different approach to the genre. From this table, and by activating certain jumpers, we can reach the other 3 tables by entering one of the tents. There's also plenty of minigames in each table, so there's a lot to discover in Psycho Pinball.
Okay, buddy, watch the pee. You've got a quick eye.
In early and mid-90s, along with point-and-click adventure games, I loved to play pinball on my DOS machine. The PC version would normally have extra features, like in certain cases, extra tables compared to the Amiga one. So finally, the CD format was starting to show all its potential, rather than being used to store crappy full-motion video stuff.